That's a real fucking issue. They lied about whether or not Saudi Arabia was involved.
It's one of the biggest scandals in the history of the United States of America. It was like the biggest terrorist attack on our soil, and the government lied about what had happened and who was involved with it. And by the way, continued propping up that regime to this day. Continued like funding and doing business with the same government that had high-level people involved in the attack. And they knew it and suppressed that from the American people, because it would have been, you know, if you put yourself back in that time, it would have been such an outrage if Americans had known. And in fact, one of the first things George W. Bush did immediately after 9/11, even when all the flights were grounded, was get high-level Saudis out of the country. Just fly them out of the country. And this is all factual. Like this happened. It's not disputed.
Including members of bin Laden's family.
Yeah.
The whole thing is so wild. And it doesn't get discussed. They keep going back to the company narrative. What's the ideological left narrative? The left narrative is anybody who questions 9/11 is a nutter. And you're a nutter, and you're trying to run for president. And he does a very good job of, she repeats the question, he repeats the answer. She repeats the question, he repeats the answer. But let's listen to his interview on CNN.
He refused to do it, but we had a free-flowing conversation.
After our interview, The Atlantic released the audio, more than 4 minutes of it actually, and here is the part with that quote that was in question.
What is the truth about January 6th?
I don't know, but we can handle it. Whatever it is, we can handle it.
But what
government agents, how many government agents were in the field? Right?
You mean like entrapment?
Yeah. Absolutely. Why can the government not be transparent about something that we're using, terrorists, or the kind of tactics used by terrorists, if we find that there are hundreds of our own in the ranks of the day that they were, I mean, look.
Well, there's a difference between entrapment and a difference between a law enforcement agent identifying it.
I think it is legitimate to say how many federal agents were on the planes that hit the Twin Towers. Like, I think we want it, maybe the answer is zero, probably is zero, for all I know, right? I have no reason to think it was anything other than zero. But if we're doing a comprehensive assessment of what happened on 9/11, we have a 9/11 commission, absolutely that should be an answer the public knows the answer to.
No.
Okay.
Vivek did nothing wrong.
There's nothing.
There's literally nothing wrong with what he said there.
But that's like, we're doing this in comparison to January 6th. So we do want to know how many federal agents were involved in January 6th. And imagine if there was actually federal agents that were involved on the planes in 9/11. He didn't say there were.
No, he specifically said zero. I'm sure it was zero.
I'm sure
but
it was
we'd want to
zero.
know.
Right.
But we'd want to know. And he's saying if you're claiming this was an act of terrorism, just like that was an act of terrorism, then okay, let's have a commission. Let's have a report. Let's know how many federal agents there were. And so far, I mean, by the way, it's crazy they try to spin this.
Does she keep going? Can I hear what her take on that is? Please play the rest of it. Okay. I want to hear what she has to say about this.
Herself, he was, in fact, quoted accurately. In an email to CNN after that audio was published, his spokesperson said, "The audio clearly demonstrates that Vivek was taken badly out of context, and even this small snippet proves that. We continue to encourage The Atlantic to release more of the recording rather than their carefully selected snippet so that the full context and reality is exposed." I should note that spokesperson did not explain how he was supposedly taken out of context. The reality is that Vivek Ramaswamy is running to be president of the United States. He will be on that debate stage tomorrow night, and he says this is a central message to his campaign.
This campaign is founded on the truth.
The truth.
We will not back down from the truth. We stand for the truth.
I am a patriot who speaks the truth.
Well, the truth is, he did say it. The quote was accurate, and it is on tape. And yes, this is how the media works. You get quoted, things you say, accurately.
Yeah, but that is still out of context. It's clearly out of context. Otherwise, they would have released the entire recording.
I know, and it's this weird thing where they brag about how, like, but you know what? The Atlantic did release 4 minutes of audio. Like, well, why not just release the whole thing?
Right, but this was after he had said they didn't release it because they hadn't.
Right.
So he's asking for the copy of it. They would not give it to him. And then they released this small snippet that is, again, taken out of context.